a happy hour on a media day from the Pentagon in Sioux Falls as Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day pretty much over. Some guys are eating lunch back there, but we had an army today. We were live on KSFL television in Sioux Falls, the Midwest Sports Plus app, SiouxFallsLive.com. Those are all places you can see all of our content, and that includes the happy hour interviews that you're going to hear on the podcast, see on the video at Sioux Falls Live. It also includes the chats with every single team, the coach and the two players from every team. Matt Zimmer, Marcus Traxler were in on all of those. And then you're going to also see and hear material and chats that Zach Borg had with the commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, but also with some of the coaches and the players. So it's good to have Zach Borg with me here today. How would you depict the Media Day experience 2026?
This was awesome. I actually didn't get to go to last year's, and also shout out. We had Chad Berger, Mike Capel, Drew Trafton, Trey Houchin. We had an army here.
Bill Morehouse,
Cordell Wright. Am I missing anyone?
Probably, but that's
probably.
okay.
I think we could put together our own offensive unit with this group, and this was a blast.
Full court press.
I think and I think we gave this the coverage it deserves. The amazing thing, I've been out here now 13 years in media out here, and just the enthusiasm for football in this region, really at every level, but especially Division I, has just grown and grown every year, and we're giving it, I think, the coverage it's deserved, and a lot of fun today. And I think, even though a certain unit was not here as they've moved on, I think we saw that I've heard from a lot of people there was even more representation, despite the fact you had that contingent from NDSU that was not here. So there were some people from SIU that were here. So it's good to see, because you did kind of wonder what was going to happen, if there'd be more people traveling in, and safe to say, I think the Valley people are pretty happy with it.
It's like Christmas morning for a lot of these teams. Certainly for us in the media, we feel like we're turning the page. The whistle is wet for football. We're here in the Sahara Desert of the
literally
sporting,
it's about 100 degrees
right,
out.
Throw some humidity in there. The Sahara steam bath.
Sauna.
We're thirsty for football, and so we give you plenty of it today. I think with the three kind of different pods that we had, not podcasts, but groups of people and interviews, you're going to get a variety of questions and topics covered. There was no shortage of addressing the elephant not in the room, North Dakota State, as you mentioned. That was a common topic in the weave over there with Marcus and Matt, and I know you brought that up with the commissioner as well. A lot of the chats that I did were with Brock Spack, Bo Brungard, Dan Jackson, Matt Vitztham. Did not talk about that. They were more personal chats about their own football journeys, which is typically what you're going to get first-time conversations on Happy Hour. But we're throwing everything in there on this edition. And so from your perspective, what kinds of things did you get out of some of these guys?
I spoke with Jeff Jackson. I'm going to have this feature up pretty soon here on Midwest Sports Plus and Sioux Falls Live. And, of course, the NDSU thing is one thing, but there was a lot of talk about expansion for the league. In addition to who had left, there was talk about, maybe Tarleton's going to come in, Abilene Christian, Utah Tech. There was a lot of talk about that.
Don't give his answer.
Not going to give away the answer, but, of course, the league has stood pat.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because now it's a round-robin schedule. Everybody plays everybody, whereas in previous years, I don't remember when exactly it was, previous years you missed at least one team in the schedule.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have a round-robin. Now you're going to have a quote-unquote true league champion, which you don't see throughout. And talking with him and talking with a lot of people, that's kind of an interesting dynamic that gets brought in now, that everybody's going to play everybody.
Yeah.
Makes the travel a little easier. So we'll see how that's reacted to. We'll see how that plays. And, expansion's not going to be a topic that goes away. It's still going to be brought up every year, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, we've talked about it with SDSU. There's still going to be that specter of who could leave in the future.
Of course.
But it's very interesting. We talked a lot about NDSU leaving. It's very interesting to remember, too, that there was a lot of talk about who could be coming in, not just to the Valley, but there was that deal that, team could come into the Valley. They could also come into the Summit League. We saw Josh Fenton here as well, because he and Jeff Jackson are tied together. So I think that's a very interesting dynamic, that you now have that round robin and everybody is playing everybody this year.
From all the teams, you're going to hear about their teams, and everybody's excited. Everybody's undefeated. You might hear a cliche or two that you'd expect at a media
training for everybody
day.
Right now.
But that's all part of it. If you want to learn about who are on these teams and what to expect from these teams. You're going to hear about that. If you want to hear about Brock Spack's mustache, you will. Also, he gives me a lot of great stories about coaching for and with Joe Tiller at Purdue in Wyoming. Kurt Mallory, Bill's son. Bill was the most popular coach ever at Indiana football until the last couple of years, and he got to coach for his dad. But he also got to play for Bo Schembechler at Michigan, and his dad coached with Woody Hayes at Ohio State. So there's a lot of name-dropping and storytelling on the traditional happy hour portion. But you also get a nugget out of Dan Jackson about what is now perhaps a perked up in-state rivalry. Now that the Jacks no longer have the Bison, at least for a year, they won't have the Bison as the main rivals. So is that state youth thing going to heat up, and is there actually perhaps an effort, a mutual effort on both schools, both head coaches' parts to make it that way? I think you'll enjoy that answer.
Has anyone found the little brown jug? Because I spent a lot of time I'm still looking for that darn thing.
That did come up, and you have Jerry Kaminsky on going to the Manning camp, which is really super cool.
Year of the quarterback in the Valley.
So enjoy all that is before you now to be unlocked. Almost anything you could possibly want to know about the teams and the people at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. Well, let it all unfold.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
Well, here we go with the guy with the second best jacket at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. He's Matt Vitztham, the head coach of the USD Coyotes. And, man, I mean, I know you've gotten comments already. So, I mean, what have you heard so far?
Yeah, I've had a lot of comments, which my goal was to make sure everybody talked about this and not what I was saying today. So the goal it's worked. It's been achieved. So, yeah, I'm not much of a dress-up guy, so I credit my wife for this.
That's even better. That is way better. That's head coaching PR 101, by the way. A little smoke and mirrors.
That's right, baby. Right.
I mean, you haven't been a head coach, but it feels like you've done this thing a time or two. Did you get some advice?
I've watched a lot of these.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of these. I know what not to do, I think.
Okay.
As much as what to do. So,
all right.
Yeah.
What would be the what not to do?
Don't talk about any other programs, any other schools. Talk about yourself.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to focus on today.
Okay.
Right?
You control the narrative with the interviewer even more so. Just grab a hold of it within the first 2 minutes. No, I will control the narrative because we're going back to that jacket. You said you're a big fan. Are you a big fan of Brockmeyer? Because the Hank Azaria, Major League Baseball, a fictitious play-by-play announcer, 4 years, dark comedy, very crass. A laugh-a-thon for me. And I found a brother in you with this.
It is very good.
Yes.
I did not watch it live, so it came out on Netflix, I think, like a year ago.
Yes.
And, just one of those late nights trying to get my mind off of becoming the new head coach. It was like, all right, I'll try this. And I got sucked in pretty good. So, yeah.
That'll do the trick.
Yeah,
that show will take you to a bunch of other places.
Yeah.
A bunch of other places.
I know it's good when you're watching it and your wife's like, what are you laughing at? And it's like, I can't help it. It's a good one.
I'd love to ask you your favorite line, but I don't know if that's possible. We're not live on TV like the guys next to us, but this is a family show.
Yeah.
But your jacket is close to the trademark, red and black, for Brockmeyer. Okay. What have been the most common asked questions today for you? Top two.
Yeah, I would say, obviously, how's the starting quarterback competition going?
Yep.
And how has the first 6-7 months been as the head coach?
Yeah.
So
there you
those
go.
are the top two right now.
Okay, and I asked you those questions about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
There's probably been some developments, but and I'm going to talk to you again before the season starts. But okay, how did the season end with the 3-horse quarterback race? I'm sure you've picked a winner, and you're ready to tell us all this right now.
I'm not going to break it today. Sorry.
No, have you really picked a winner?
We have not.
Okay.
No. We're going to head in here, I think, by the end of kind of that first week, 5-8 practices in, we're going to talk about moving a guy kind of into that role and taking all of the reps with the ones.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been our plan for the first 5-6 months here is, it's been pretty open.
Yeah.
See if a guy can really kind of take a hold of it and keep that job. So, like where we're at, continue to say that, like who we've surrounded them with, more importantly.
Yeah.
And just continue to reiterate, we don't need you to be Aiden Bauman. Be yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be plenty good with those 3 guys.
you had a few practices, several practices after we last talked. And if there's not like one guy overall that emerged, what did you see? If you want to go through them, bing, bing, bing. Yeah. How would you evaluate what you saw, especially the positives from each guy from spring practice?
Yeah, I think Nevin Cremascoli. Like I know what we know what we're gonna get with Nevin, right? And there's a certain level of comfort with that, right? And there's that consistency factor of who he is, right? Austin Majeski, the freshman, would be a redshirt freshman next year. He's got that wow factor. You know what I mean? He's got a big arm. He's going to make some big plays, just kind of honing in on, limiting the damage of a freshman, right? Yeah. And I think that's going to be key for him in kind of this race. And then Jackson Proctor, for him, his legs, right? His ability to run the football and our ability as a staff to adapt to that type of quarterback. That's kind of the three things I would say kind of coming out of that we think we know about those three guys right now.
Yeah, and again, I'll bring up a question, but maybe there's a developed answer from 3 months ago. How are you going to, with it feels like three different skill sets. Yep. But you also want to have an offense. You have a playbook, so you have an offense. So do you fit the quarterback to the offense? Do you fit the offense to the quarterback that you're going to pick?
I think
you can't start from scratch.
There's a little bit of both to that. Obviously, we're going to have the ability to run the football at South Dakota. Like that's in our DNA. We believe that's how you win football games. Yeah. And then really trying to find the strength of that quarterback and bring it out, right, schematically. And that's why I talked to you a little bit about early on in camp, trying to make a decision so we as a staff can really start to put that plan together for that guy, right? Because it will be a different plan for each of them. They each have a different skill set. So that's our plan right now. I know we've talked more this summer about what we're going to do schematically in offense than we probably have in a really long time. So we're ready for it. I'm ready for that to play out here in the first, like I said, week or two of fall camp and move forward.
We were talking about what you're going to do, just general approach and philosophy, or what do you mean by that?
I think, how to incorporate the quarterback into your run game, right, and how much to do it. This is a very physical football league, right? Yeah. Like you can't have that guy having 20 carries a game. But you can't just, hey, we're only going to run them in the big games or the big situations. You can't do that to them, right? Yeah. You've got to have that ability to maneuver through when and how to utilize his legs. One kid might be better using his legs off a drop back pass. He can extend a play and scramble around. Yeah. Another one might be, hey, he's +1 in the quarterback run game. So we're figuring that out. I think we've got a great plan for each guy to bring out their strengths. But once we make that decision, then it's all in and all steam ahead on that.
All right. And then, of course, I have to ask you about Charles Pierre. It was back in the spring. Correct me if I'm wrong. It kind of felt like, hey, he's getting to practice again, but he can't really go full throttle. He's still trying to learn what he can and can't do. You want to be careful. But, again, how'd the last stretch of practice go? And more importantly, how's that leg now?
He's good. He's ready to go. Obviously, LJ had an unbelievable season last year, and he's gotten a lot of credit, and all of those things. I think Charles and Keandre are both ready, kind of itching for their turn. Yeah. Just like any great player, when you sit and watch, you learn a lot, and I think you also are very, very anxious to get back out there. And I think both Charles and Key are both very, very anxious, and we're going to have to utilize both those guys because they're dynamic playmakers that can change a game in a hurry.
It's going to be fun to see Key, man. I mean, he's a rock and roller for sure.
Yeah.
I can't imagine some of the damage you guys could have done if he was just a little more healthy last year.
Yep.
And we've talked about the defense, Chris Dixon, and just as we've mentioned, buried a little bit because he doesn't get a lot of tackles. Yep. But what do you guys see him do that is so dominant and special, and particularly what do offensive linemen he squares up against experience?
I think Chris Dixon is, I've told you this before, he's one of the most underappreciated people in our building and in our league, right? Yeah. The refusal to be blocked by one person is incredible. You're going to have to take two guys, which if you take two on him, frees up a backer or frees up another D lineman, right? So he has been that steady force in there that plays down in, down out. A guy of that size, his durability, right, his conditioning level, it's second to none. And it's really, really what sets the tone for our defense. Nobody has an appreciation for that unless you're in that film room and you understand exactly what he's doing and how he's doing it. So he's really, really at the forefront. But I think our defensive line is going to be incredible this season. I think we can go 7-8 deep at that position. There's some new faces, there's some old faces, some guys that have really developed. So I think we got a chance to be really good in the trenches, which that's where we want to be built and where you have to be built in this league.
You know, it's tough for me to sometimes ask these questions in this setting because I asked some of these back in spring. Some people heard them, some didn't. I mean, it's been 3 months. People don't remember. But a very important part of this equation is obviously, yes, you as a first-time head coach, but more so the decisions you're making in a game as the guy now, particularly fourth down. Are you going to – I know it depends on where the field is, where on the field you are, to punt, to go for it. It leaned more conservative in the last year with Travis. You had a great defense, so that's great. But with you, where are you coming out right now and how you're going to dial into those situations? Yeah,
I think just trying to do the best I can to have a feel for what's going on in the football game, right? That isn't, I think a really, really poor decision to be go into a game and say, hey, we're going for it on fourth down, right? If we're dominating the line of scrimmage and our backs are continuously falling forward and we're moving, we're going to go for it on fourth down, right? But if we've shown, hey, we're getting some knockback and we're not moving the line of scrimmage and they're moving us, then maybe the decision is to punt it away. So I think, stepping back, not calling plays, right, and having a sense of where the game is and the feel of what's going on in the game, and not letting my emotion get the best of me. I am probably a little bit more emotional than Travis and Bob. I yelled at the officials way too much as an assistant, so I've got to keep that under control. But, looking forward to that. I really am, those decisions. And just like, a player, you have to get into a game to do it, right? I wish I could tell you there's going to be a magic thing that I could do, but it's going to be going out there and getting the experience. Well, be Saturday.
Yourself. Have some fun on that sideline there. We'll get the camera on you, and we'll get the Vitz cam going. Yes, you've answered a zillion questions about being the new head coach and a first-time head coach. How have you seen players respond to you, and maybe, of course, defensive guys because you weren't around them as much, but respond to you differently? What are you feeling from them?
Yeah, there is a sense, just like anything when you become the boss, right? There is a sense a little bit of more looking up, and it's like I've really tried to avoid that. I think what got me into this position was the relationships that I had built with players. So making sure, and this is very hard, and I think I've learned this from all the head coaches last night, having the ability to talk to them, not getting bogged down with all of the other things and still making sure the players are the priority. Go ahead.
What do you feel like is the most under-talked about, sneaky thing that you have going on right now that you're really excited to see pop?
You're saying, that's exciting that our team's going to have?
A play or an aspect, a position group.
I really think both sides of the ball, it may not pop, but I think our offensive line is going to be much improved. We were pieced together pretty poorly there last year. We made it work. And I think our defensive line, I think watching those two go at it in spring practice was huge. Super excited about where we're at there. I do think one guy that I'll tell you that I think is primed for a really good season is Braden White. He's a receiver. We saved his red shirt last year, which we didn't have to do now with the 5-for-5. But excited to watch him. He's a very, very dynamic player that's going to bring a lot of excitement in that dome.
Okay, have you seen the preseason poll?
I have.
Where are you guys again?
We're fifth.
You're fifth. How do you feel about that?
The cliche thing would be to say it doesn't matter and, we're focused on us. But, there is a sense of, that's what people in our league think of us. We're fifth.
Sure.
We're coming off of 3 straight playoff appearances, more Missouri Valley wins than anybody in here. So,
there's sole second place last year.
There is a sense of, hey, the lack of respect in Vermilion is real, and we play to that, right? That's who we are. That's who I am. I know there's doubts and concerns about me, about our quarterback, but that's who we are. We're a chip on the shoulder, blue-collar team, and we'll play into that. Don't worry.
The natural question was going to, yes, are you going to lean into that?
Absolutely.
And you are.
Yeah.
Has there been a consistent lean into that anyway, in your time there?
Yeah, I think you have to go out and earn the respect of this league. Has been virtually every season I've sat in the team room, that's what it's been, because this is where we're pretty much consistently picked, right? We're never ahead of the other Dakotas, right? Somebody always has a better quarterback than us, and they just place us down there in the kind of the middle, and we just say, hey, let's go earn some respect. And the only way to really earn the respect, you can talk about it and say this and that, hang it in somebody's locker, but you got to go out in between those white lines and you got to be about it. And I think I got a group of guys in that locker room that's about it, and we're excited to go show it.
What kind of momentum have you been feeling in the community? I mean, if you're out and about, when you're out and about, of the anticipation for not just the football season starting, but where things are headed?
Yeah, I think right now, as an athletic department, there is an extreme amount of excitement of where we're going. Right, we're playing in a lot more meaningful games, a lot more impactful games, and we are starting to have some conversations that I don't think have been had there about national tournaments and national championships and things like that. And pressure is a privilege, right? I mean, it's starting to be a little bit more pressure in Vermilion than there ever has to get some things done, which is great. We've earned that. But the community's great. They're behind us. They support us. I've told you this from the jump. I love our community. I love Vermilion. It's really kind of who I am, and that's how I grew up. So, they're all in. I can tell you that. Their expectations are higher than ever.
Hey, by the way, one last one. You mentioned the coaches got together last night, players. What kind of event was that? What was the setting, and what was
so the coaches, we went out and had dinner together.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm the new guy at the end of the table.
Oh, come on.
I wanted to make sure there wasn't a ninth green at 9, a Happy Gilmore or some meeting I wasn't supposed to be at. But the players, they went to the golf deal there on the end of town. Okay. Had dinner. Guy said it was awesome to interact with.
They go to Great Shots?
Great Shots,
okay, very good.
Yep. We didn't go. We got to go do dinner. So it was great. All the head coaches in here have been awesome to me, you know what I mean, as the kind of the new. I told them, I'm like, this is the third guy now in 3 years that you guys have had to sit with, so hopefully we can make it a few more than one. Yeah,
well, good. And you felt right at home, right? You're comfortable in that?
Yes and no.
Are you comfortable in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, we'll make it work. Yeah, yep. Need a little bit more experience in those situations, but we're going that direction.
Does bourbon help?
Old-fashioned helps.
Okay. That's right. You're the old-fashioned guy. That. Okay. Some of these guys are straight, like Brock's back. Straight bourbon. Travis Johansson, straight bourbon. But I'm with you. Let's get a little
something in there.
Come on. Let's get it's okay to put a little sugar in there.
I agree.
Not too much.
Yep.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing
this.
Thank you.
Thanks for, as always. Thank you.
Yep. Matt Fitztham, head coach of USD.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. So go ahead. Have another.
He's the second-year coach, South Dakota State University, Dan Jackson, MVFC Media Day. That has a good ring to it, though. MVFCS.
It does.
Hey,
you're creative. You're
that rolled right in. I know. Just I'll appreciate the royalties when those come in. But I think it's going to all go back to the football programs. Look, you've pretty much talked to everybody. I think I am your last chat today before you get out of here. So I know you're going to save the best for last.
Always do.
But I'll try to think of some things you haven't talked about yet, like which I think are fun things. The experience that you and your two players, Chase Mason and Logan Green, have for these 24 hours. Mm-hmm. You stayed in Sioux Falls last night.
We did.
You came down and you got to eat at a good place and shop for suits and tell me about it.
Yeah. So the media day. I learned this from Coach Lee at Vanderbilt. Sometimes you got to dress to impress, and there's things that are a big deal, and you need to make them a big deal. And so last year we started this tradition that whoever is coming down here for Media Day, we come down a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks before we go to Halberstad's. They get custom suits and fitted and suited up, and oftentimes that's special because it's their first suit they've ever got. I think it's a cool memory for them to have got it here. And then, we pick them up the day before, though, so we may have to get a little more organized with that. We picked them up last night in a rush. The guys played some golf at Great Shots, and the coaches, which we have such great coaches in this league, it was cool to spend some time with them at dinner. Yeah,
dig into that a little bit more. I know the answer is many things, but what do you guys talk about in a setting like that?
Yeah, a lot
before
of times,
the season starts.
Initially, it's checking in, seeing how your teams are doing,
Yeah.
checking in on people's families. I think the longer I'm certainly more comfortable this year in my second year actually knowing the coaches instead of just having interacted with them. And so checking in on their families, their teams, their programs. And then we get into everything in college athletics and how they're handling it, from scholarships to NIL to transfer portal to AI. I mean, Coach Hill and I think talked for about 30 minutes last night about artificial intelligence and how it can help our programs. And so it's fun to kind of see what's on those guys' mind.
In what ways could AI help your program?
Oh, so many ways. Imagine if now our GAs and QCs may not want to hear this, but you put your film in artificial intelligence and it's AI, and if I could just type in, give me a report on DJ Williams versus field pressure, and it'll give you a detailed report. So from a scouting report standpoint, and then as a coach, there's so many times you think of something you want to know the answer to, but it takes a lot of time to get it. You make a cut up, you study the film, you're charting it, and sometimes the charts aren't as organized. So to be able to ask it a question and to be able to spit out something, and it'll tell you, hey, that's 90% accurate. This is 70% accurate. You may want to double check it. So that's just kind of touching the iceberg of the tip of the iceberg as to what AI could do.
I mean, these guys, back to the coaches' dinner thing, they all have a varying degree of win-loss records, both the last year and in their careers, but you get to actually know what they are like as people and also get an idea of just how high level of football people they are. Give us a taste of that.
They're the best, and it doesn't matter the program. I have learned so much from Coach Mallory at Indiana State this last year. He is such a good person, so I've got a chance to spend some time with him at camps. He called throughout the offseason last year, offering support and guidance. He's somebody I can call. I feel like every time there's an opportunity to interact with somebody a little bit deeper. So Vitz and I got a chance to sit together last night and kind of talk about his first year and how it's going, and all things South Dakota, things that we're all dealing with or problems we're trying to solve together. And honestly, there's power in that. The head coach of the University of South Dakota and myself being on the same page, we can get a lot of things done for our programs that may be statewide. So we talked about that, and Coach Hill and I were talking about our wives, and we think they're similar, so we may need to get them connected. So it's just all things. But I am impressed with the level of person first. And then when you talk football with these guys, it's pretty humbling. I mean, it's some of the best coaching in the country.
I mean, the show is happy hour, so I do ask coaches, like I asked you the first time, what's the drink of choice? Now, was there a good variety of drinks? Do you think whatever they're drinking at the dinners, it tells you about them as a person?
It does. So Coach Phillips and I, we have a tradition. We're going to have a glass of wine together. I let him pick it out. He's the Youngstown wine connoisseur. Red is Coach's go-to. So that's with dinner. Before that, he put me on to a Japanese whiskey old-fashioned, which was really smooth. That's my go-to with a little spin, but you can tell a lot. There's guys ordering Busch Lights at Parker's, and that's everybody's going to be them, right? Be you.
Yes, Parker's, for those who don't know, is pretty high end,
pretty fine dining,
pretty fine dining in downtown Sioux Falls. But be you. Was Vitz one of the Busch Light people there?
Vitz may have had like an IPA. It had some color to it.
I think he said he likes old fashions. But
he does. I think he was going refreshing route last night.
Mind your
he was on his good behavior.
Mind your business, because the IPAs you can just kind of sip on it for a while.
Definitely.
You don't have to drink too much, but you'll get the buzz. And then there's today. I'm curious. Why we all know why you would bring Chase Mason to something like this. You get two players, and he's a great football player, but there's a lot to choose from on the defense. Logan Green, why did you decide on him?
The cool thing about our program is that's a really challenging decision because really when I looked at it, there could be 20 or 25 guys here that would do a phenomenal job representing us, and really everybody would, but it starts first with the seniors, so our program's always going to be senior-led. And I really started pouring into, we need somebody in the trenches. That's what we're going to win on, O and D line. And then when you look at Logan's story, it's very unique and not many people know it. Logan came here as a walk-on. Logan earned a scholarship. Logan then earned a starting job, and then now is a two-time captain. That's a really cool story. And he embodies, he's a blue-collar, hardworking farm kid. And he's another guy that Chase got a lot of the publicity for having opportunities. Logan was one of those guys who was highly sought after in places that he grew up near, and he chose to stay, and he means a lot to us. He sets the tone every day.
Okay. What have you – okay, I'll get into some that you may have been asked already, but what have you seen from Chase as he continues to go forward both as a quarterback and as a leader, and so not spring football performance-wise, but then again, you're around him all the time. What do you continue to see up until this day in July?
I see his confidence grow. He's always looking to improve. Even today, behind the scenes, I told him, I said, look, buddy, you guys don't have a lot of experience with interviews and those things. Let's go. You're going to have 10 of them today. Let's get a little bit better each one. And so that's the coach in me coming out and trying to challenge him to improve, and then he's having fun with that too. So I've seen his that improve today. But on the whole, he's the biggest he's ever been, so he weighs the most he's ever weighed with the least amount of body fat, and he just ran almost 22 miles an hour yesterday, which would be one of the faster players in the country, not just quarterbacks. So physically he's in a good spot. He's very healthy. Everybody asks about that. He feels as good as he has. His core strength's good because he plays golf every day when he's done with his workouts. But I would say as a leader, he is very confident in himself. He has a full understanding of the system, so he's starting to teach the offense to other people. Whereas last year he was learning a new offense, and by the end was teaching it. But now he's got the offense humming, and he could probably run the practice without coaches out there.
Wow. As a golfer, is he pretty good? Because you expect a quarterback to be good with hand-eye coordination and confidence. But then again, he's pretty muscle-bound, and so sometimes those guys think you just swing at it.
I've yet to see him play a sport that he's not good at.
Okay.
And so he's a great golfer when he's on. He's going to hit it a mile.
Yeah.
And as long as it's going straight, he's going to play really well. We played together a few weeks ago, and I just told him, I said, buddy, I'm not a good golfer, so I'm going to play awful. This is about the bonding for me, but I guarantee you'll shoot your best round. And he did. So he shot in the 70s that day. So he's pretty good.
Okay, because, I wonder last night, maybe you got some reports from Logan and Chase. Like, I'm sure those guys had a great time meeting the guys from the other teams and doing the golf thing, but it is great shots, so perhaps there was some competition there. What was there?
There was some competition. I think he was in the long ball finals out there.
That was the follow-up.
I don't think his last hit, I think he got under it. He may have tried to Happy Gilmore it or something and didn't hit it flush, but he was right there in the finals of the long ball. I don't know if Logan made contact. D linemen are a little tighter in the shoulders and hips maybe than the QBs.
That would have been pretty entertaining. What's the most common question you got today?
Obviously, the North Dakota State thing has been a common thread, and then the preseason polls and those sort of things. So kind of exactly what we would expect.
Sure. And I've asked you those questions before, so I just the thing that Marcus and Matt said about they got a chance to interview everybody from all 9 teams. Mm-hmm. I'm over here kind of doing the longer things like this.
Yes.
But so they know, like, you guys are truly competitors. Nobody really wanted NDSU to leave the league.
No.
It clears the path to win the title, to win a national title. You can't complain about that, but it feels like genuinely, even the teams that have the longest odds want that opportunity on that one Saturday every year.
That's why we do it. I mean, you're coaching college football for a reason, and it isn't for it to be easy. Yeah. There's a lot of professions we could do that may be a little more simple. We want challenges every week. North Dakota State's a great program. They've always had great coaching staffs. They've always been of high character. And so, we all look for that, especially us, with it being the greatest rivalry in college football to me. So hopefully we can get that back here in the next few years. I'm confident that there's an avenue to get that done. But we wish them well. And the coolest thing is when you look at it, I don't know if it clears a path or not. I think 4 of the best quarterbacks in the entire country at any level play in our league, and there's a lot of returners amongst the conference. And so our conference it's a bear now. And so we are all also grateful for the opportunity to play for national title. That is just something that is ingrained in me. I did not come back to South Dakota State to not have that opportunity. So grateful for where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, you should be. Before I forget, you and Matt Vistam talking about the same boat you're in as football coaches at the Division I public schools in South Dakota. Do you mind digging a little into what that means and how you two can help each other since you're in the same boat?
Sure. I think when you're in the same state, there's guidelines, there's laws, there's rules, there's things that you can get accomplished together. Not everybody thinks our football programs at the end of the day are 2 of the biggest things going in our entire state. So it's Kyle football, it's South Dakota State Jackrabbit football. And so for us, the leaders of those programs, to say, this is how we can move athletics forward in the state of South Dakota and bounce some ideas. So whether it's it's the old example of multi-year contracts. Bob Nielsen pushed for it, got a multi-year contract, and it helped Coach Stiegelmeier. And those guys worked together to get that done. So it's examples there. Maybe it's assistant multi-year contracts, it's budgeting, it's revenue generation, things that we do to fill our stadium, passing on ideas, thoughts, that way, ways to recruit the area. I want every great player from South Dakota to play for us, but that's not going to happen. So even discussing the recruiting in the area, how to build up the football on the western side of the state and help them out. I mean, there's a variance of ways that I think when our programs come together, we can make an impact.
Is there a feeling, and did you talk about it last night, of, well, now we got each other because your biggest undisputed football rival for now is off the schedule. So naturally, of course, all of us are like, okay, well, this is what we have now. And by the way, both programs have been pretty damn good the last few years.
Definitely.
Did you break into that, or how do you see that?
In the group setting, we didn't get too much into that, but I do plan on reaching out to them and getting that going. So I love rivalries. I think that's why another reason why college football is so special. Yeah. And to have a built-in rival that's just a few hours away, you're recruiting the same kids. You're going to know the roster. You're going to know the coaches. We see each other at every recruiting thing. There's a natural rivalry going to be there. It's fun that we play on Halloween this year. So I think he and I will do our part in making sure that rivalry, which is a good one already, takes the next step to be to respect both programs, but also to be able to challenge one another, and we'll get that rivalry heated up a little bit.
Is that next step involving a trophy?
That's my preference. I'll talk to Matt about that. That's my preference.
The bucket?
It was the little brown jug.
Right, the jug.
Everybody thinks we have this jug. I've searched the entire building. Trust me. I have yet to find it. So maybe it's in Coach Steg's basement or something.
All right.
But if it isn't the little brown jug, or we need to get another one, part of me wants to come up with something that Matt and I sit down and talk about, and that we can come together on and start a new tradition.
That's really, really cool. I'm glad you guys are getting that going.
Definitely.
You guys seem like similar guys in general.
Yeah, I think there's
age
similarities.
And personality, a little bit.
Similar age. I think
You're
we're both
city guy,
positive
he's a country
guys.
guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we both have clear visions for the program. We're both at great places. Yeah. And he's been humble, and I mean, I think Vitz is going to do a great job, and from everything I hear, he's doing phenomenal.
Right on. Well, I'll let you get to your golf. You get to stay in town and do that today.
We do. We're going to cook a little bit out there, so I've been pounding the water. It's steamy out there,
Yep.
but I think we're going to get on at Mapleton, so appreciate people helping us get our guys on there.
What's the sweltering hot day golf drink of choice?
Well, since I'll be with our guys, it's going to be like iced tea today.
Oh, okay.
But typically on the course, I've got
a couple shooters in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't.
I'd go with a vodka lemonade or an orange beer if I had to do it.
I'm sorry to talk about so much drinking here.
That's okay. No judgment.
Yeah,
I don't. So
enjoy it.
Definitely.
Thank you for doing this, and we'll talk plenty more about your team as we get closer to kickoff.
Yeah. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Dan Jackson, SDSU football coach here on Happy Hour Media Day.
It's still Happy Hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
We're all wondering, with North Dakota State no longer in the lead, who's going to rise up? South Dakota State's the favorite, but there's a heap of teams right there. And what about North Dakota? The Fighting Hawks made the playoffs last year. They were 8-6 under first-year head coach Eric Schmidt, and the pride of Mandan, North Dakota, joins us right now in, hopefully for you, your last chat of the day. You've warmed up. We're saving the best for last. How is it going?
It's going great, man. Our guys have had a great summer here. I think it's getting to the point now where, media days becomes kind of that point in the summer where now it's, that point where we can get rid of the shorts and the shirts and running and doing gassers and all that kind of stuff and bend and iron and get ready to put some helmets and shoulder pads on here again.
That was a good kind of cliche-packed answer. It was, but you sold it well. I mean, you second year at UND. I mean, this is a school where you played and won a national championship, and then you coached under the guy who coached you, right? This is all Dale Lennon. So I mean, I know it's been well over a year, but how does it still feel waking up, being the coach at UND?
Well, I mean, just an attitude of gratitude to be able to to be in the seat, people ask me all the time, hey, 30 years ago, would you think that, hey, this is where you're going to be and where you wanted to be? And it's not something that you think about until the opportunity kind of presents itself. But it's just, something that I'm really, really grateful. Obviously, our job is to pour into the guys in between the white lines, and to do it when you were one of those guys in that uniform one time makes it extra special. So it's unbelievable. Every morning you wake up, man, I feel really, really, really special to be able to do it in Grand Forks.
Growing up in the 80s and 90s, and both, correct me if I'm wrong, NDSU and UND were kind of D2 powerhouses. Did you have a rooting interest?
I really didn't. I mean, at that time, we would get the UND NDSU game every year, and then you get the playoff games. Like those were the games. But just with how far along media's come, like back then, growing up in the state of North Dakota, you felt like UND NDSU was Auburn, Alabama, right? Because you didn't get all those games all the time. So I mean, well, obviously once things started to transpire in recruiting and things like that, you go to North Dakota and have all the success you had. And, going back to your other question, just as far as talking about Coach Lennon and Coach Schweigert, and then having the opportunity to work with Kalen DeBoer too as well, I think, you get around some guys when you're 18 to 23 and you're like, hey, man, like, I want to be like these guys, right? Like that's why you coach, is you're around people that made a huge difference in your lives. And I was really, really blessed to be able to be around some unbelievable people, during my time as a player at North Dakota.
Sure. Give people a quick history lesson for those who didn't really experience it or those who may have forgotten it. But the Dale Lennon years at UND, I mean,
really successful.
Why were they? Why?
Yeah. I think the guy just, a guy who came in the right time at the right place. Our program was on an escalator at that point, had made the playoffs, throughout the entire 90s. Coach Roger Thomas was kind of the one who turned it around in the early 90s. And then North Dakota was just steadily making the playoffs, getting to the semifinals, all that kind of stuff. And then Roger left to go become the AD. And then when Dale came in, I just thought we got on another escalator, at that time, and we're able to, play in a number of national championship games, really, become a power in the Division II landscape at that time and win a national championship.
I mean, you were with him for quite a while, player, and then as a coach at UND, then you went with him to Southern Illinois. What was special about him? What have you taken? What cues from him as a head coach have you taken?
Well, he was just all about the players. I think that was the thing that I took more than anything else. He had a relationship with every guy on the team, and I think every guy on the team would feel like, hey, I was his best friend. You know what I mean? Type of deal. He just was that type of guy. He was, just as good of a coach as he was, just a better man. He modeled the way of what it looks like to be a good father, to be a good husband. And just cared about people. And I think that was the thing that really impressed me more than anything else, is just how he poured into people both on and off the field and made them, the best versions of themselves.
You guys leave UND from D2 right around the time they were starting to D1 to an already established Mo Valley D1 school at Southern Illinois. And then, 3-4 years into it, you meet Kalen DeBoer. Now he's coming off 5 years, 69-3, 3 national titles at USF. But, of course I can't have you on without giving us some Kalen DeBoer stories and what he was like at that time when this is his first job that's not at a Sioux Falls High School or at USF.
Well, I think Kalen grew a ton at Southern Illinois. Obviously, he had so much success at Sioux Falls, but he was around people there that, he played with, he trusted. Coach Young was here, guys that kind of took Kalen underneath their wing and that he really, really trusted. Then he comes to Southern, and now it's, hey, man, these aren't anybody that I grew up with, that I played with, all that kind of stuff. So I thought he really grew. I think it doubled down for him, like, hey, what I did at Sioux Falls was really, really good. That was the one thing that I was so impressed with him from day one. That guy is a smart football coach, an offensive mind who is one of the elite offensive minds, in college football. Just unbelievable. And then when we got back together, some years later at Fresno, just the confidence and the belief he had in who he was and what the program should look like, I thought he took a huge step that way. And same deal. The guys, he ran things so smoothly and so cleanly throughout the year that our players gained so much belief and confidence in just how the program was run. I'm not even talking about game day. I'm talking about the off season, the summer, all that kind of stuff. It was really impressive.
What was in the sauce there? What was the magic? Why was it so smooth?
Well, I think once again it comes down to the people,
okay,
right? And I think that's always what's said. But when you just have people up top that are, he is high output, low ego. It's never been about him. He's always about, he walks into your office. He knows who your kids are. He knows who your wife is. He's no different now than he was probably when he was in Millbank, South Dakota. That hasn't changed him at all. And I think just that, genuineness that he has, everybody around him wants to do great for him because of how good of a person he is.
So here's a fun thing to think about. I think this is all kind of in the same time frame. I don't have the exact years here. I'm trying my best to connect dots. Both you and him left Southern Illinois. You for UND, back to UND under Bubba Schweigert, and he left for Eastern Michigan, and it was before Dale's tenure came to an end there. But he, as far as I know, applied for the UND job. Have you ever wondered or imagined or talked to him about that?
Yeah,
he would have been your boss at UND, and who knows what could have happened after that?
Yeah,
obviously he's in Alabama now.
It worked out pretty good for Kalen. I think you evolve through your career, and at that point in his career, UND was probably the next right stepping stone for him as far as working up to where he's at today. But
was he crushed he didn't get it?
I don't think so. I think he knew there was things that were ahead of him yet that could be really good. And I know he went when he got to Fresno and got with Coach Tedford. I think was something that really helped him too as well. So everything happens for a reason. But I think there's certain people that you meet in your life that you're like, hey, that guy's got it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's not anything that's some magic formula or something like that. It's just a good dude who works really, really hard, who cares about people, and I think that's you talk about the secret sauce. There is no secret sauce.
Yeah.
It's just about going to work every day and doing it in a great environment.
A lot of you guys earn your jobs partly by who you know, who you've worked with. I mean, the Tedford thing and the Fresno thing, which became the Washington and Alabama thing, was Tedford just discovered, look at what this guy's doing at Eastern. Who is this guy? Didn't know him. But 5 years after you guys were no longer on the staff together at Southern Illinois, he's calling you to join him at Fresno State. So, I mean, for you, what was that call like?
Yeah, I mean, there was always a relationship there. I think anytime you're on staffs, there's, like-minded people that you gravitate towards that kind of have the same philosophy that you have that, we were down there, but we both grew up in the Dakotas. I watched him play against my brother at the University of Mary, I had a relationship with Chuck Morrell, too, as well. So there was a little bit of a family kind of connection between the coaches there. And I think the other thing I think that Kalen's always done a great job of is he's surrounded himself with people that really trust him. Like I said, people that, they'll do whatever they can to help him be successful because of how good of a dude he is. So I think there was, just kind of a connection. His daughter, my son, were born in Carbondale at that time, so we were going through some life things that were also, similar to as well. And he's got a great family, his wife and his kids. So it just kind of clicked more than anything else when we were together.
And so for you, that's another level there, Mountain West Conference, FBS, and then you go to another level in the real Pac-12, all the way to a national championship game. What have you learned from a guy who started coaching in high school football in Crookston, Minnesota, to UND Division II, to FCS? Is there a common thread? What have you learned about the game at different levels that might be the same, or this is why it's different here?
Well, I think it goes down to being in the seat that I'm in now.
Yeah.
It's about getting the right people around you. Getting the right butts in the right seats is really important because those assistant coaches, the relationships that they build with their players, it's huge. It's critical. People ask me, hey, from year one to year two, what's the difference? Well, those relationships now are so much stronger. The trust that you build, as a linebacker coach with the linebackers or as a tight ends coach with the tight ends. I think those are the things. And it's not just, the assistant coaches. It's all the helpers and supporters that are in your building. I think just, bringing the right energy to work every single day, creating that environment where, to me, energy is effort and focus. And if we can have all of our people create that environment every single day, that's how our players are ultimately going to get better.
See, none of this is X's and O's in football, and I totally believe you. And it just sounds, it has to be so much easier said than done, because if it were that easy, just to hit the football and the energy, but as you mentioned, it's kind of the right people.
Well, there's a lot of really good X's and O's people in football. I mean, those guys are dime a dozen, but to find the right fit, I think, of a person who really cares, somebody who wants to make a difference in somebody's life. That's ultimately what this is about. I think, and being an assistant coach for as long as I was, and around some really good head coaches, like, you get to find out like who the real guys are. In those buildings, like who's really helping kids with with academics, who's helping them with some of the personal things that are going on with their families and with their girlfriends. Like, those are the guys who really develop them, and being around those guys and being in those rooms, like, that really helped me to be able to put a staff together of those types of people that I knew were going to help us be successful.
So is some of that the human side, doing the right thing, being the good guys, was that partly what went into, I'll go right back into the thing that you guys got some headlines for a month or two, just an email, a contact with a junior college kid that was contacting you, and you guys self-reported, to the NCAA, and you guys got slapped on the wrist for it, and everybody is chuckling. I think you guys actually came out looking pretty good out of that whole thing. Was that part of your thinking into doing what you did, knowing you might get some attention for that?
Yeah, I mean, the coach is somebody that we talk about. He was on our staff at Southern Illinois. The guy's been in college football for 22 years, hasn't ever had a violation in his life. It's a guy who a kid trusts, calls us, hey, man, would you have some interest? Hey, I'll try to hook you up at a better place if you're not playing, that kind of stuff. So I made the analogy. I probably, I don't know. I said we're going 26 and a 25. Can we improve and do some things better? I'm like, and not only were we going 26 and a 25, we wrote our own ticket and we took it to the police station and said, hey, type of deal there. And everything else that's going on in college football.
Everybody's going 90 on a 25.
Yeah, and I'm like, you guys are going to come make this a story at our place. So I think, for me, you talk about the family aspect, I wanted that coach to know that I had his back. Hey, man, like, what you're doing is not what we're trying to get out of college football. Like, you hear the stories of people calling players on. We had, guys on our team that were getting called from other places in the country. We didn't reach out. This kid reached out to a coach who had recruited him in the past and said, hey, would you help me out? And he was like, hey, man, send me your transcripts, that kind of stuff. And we move on from there. Can we get better? We'll have a growth mindset and try to get better too as well. But by no means, we're going to do this thing with integrity. We're going to do it honestly, and we're going to do it the right way.
There's two questions to come out of that. For one, was it slap on the wrist a correct depiction, or do you think it's going to hurt you a bit?
Well, I mean,
or how much?
I mean, there's some things. Obviously, not having Travis for a game. Having our coach there is something that.
And that first week of the portal.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, to us, like I said, it's the second week off of it. We'll get most of our work done. We're not a huge portal team. We want to do it through the high school, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So there's some things there that we got to be on it and do a good job, from our end of things. But ultimately, I think they're all things that, at the end of the day, it never affected, our current players. Yeah. We talked to them about it, and none of those guys were, it wasn't going to affect their lives at all. And we just, recruiting-wise, have, committed 2 of the classes here that are 2 of the elite classes the last 2 years. So I think that, just that genuineness of, hey, man, we're gonna tell you exactly what happened. I got questions like this, like, hey, coach, you want to talk about it? I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about it because I want to make sure people understand, like I said, what happened, that, hey, it's not the things that you're hearing about, throughout college football. It's something that, we can learn from and get better from, but ultimately it wasn't, anything that we're trying to get out of college football is what happened here.
Do you feel like in the relatively short amount of time that it has happened, that it has felt more like it has helped your recruiting or hurt? Or neither?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. You probably know more on the outside
of
it. What you look.
I really don't. I mean, you make a headline for a day, so maybe more people are talking about UND football than they ever had in their lives. But it's like a day, so I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the ripples keep going. But you do talk to people. You've been on the recruiting trail trying to recruit players for future teams since. So does that get brought up?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, you want to do a good job as the leader of the program to be able to look people in the eye and say, hey, this is what happens. And then you move on from there. But, yeah, I think, for a 24 to 48-hour period, it was a story. And then after that, I think it's turned into more of, maybe a little bit of an eye roll type of situation or something like that, and we moved on.
I know you've been warmed up pretty well with the North Dakota State question, but I'll ask you mine. it feels like all you guys are competitors, and you really will miss having that opportunity, especially at UND, to play them. At the same time, it clears everybody else's paths a little bit easier to win this league and to win the national championship. How have you processed that they're no longer there, especially from a team you had them on the ropes last year? I mean, you almost beat them.
Yeah, I think, you want to obviously ultimately our goal is to win a national championship, right? Win a Missouri Valley Football Conference championship and win a national championship. Would you, and as a competitor, you want to do it going through NDSU, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of been the path throughout, time here since we've all gotten back together. So you want to do that. But, ultimately I think for our players, there's so much more to play for yet. I think, just the whole narrative of, where FCS football is at, I think it's super strong after the championship game last year and, all the viewership and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a really good brand of football. And I think for us 3, Dakota schools that are left, it puts more emphasis on, there's only 2 of those games now against each other instead of 3. So they make those games, for our fan base, it's even going to be more important here, moving forward. They're going to value those games even more now than they did in the past without North Dakota State being there.
I think I only have 2 more. One of them is 5 losses by 5 points or less. Probably a question you've been asked before as well, but that's kind of the narrative coming in. And North Dakota has been for a long time under Bubba, and last year, it's a lot of 7 and 5s in there. And last year ultra competitive with the best teams on your schedule. What is there to take it over the top?
Yeah, I just it's the details, it's the polishing of everything we're doing. I don't think you hit a panic button and all of a sudden you're changing. I think the competitiveness is something that our guys feel really, really good about. We walk onto the field in Manhattan, Kansas last year, and we stop them with 2 minutes and 4 seconds left to go, and we go get a first down, the game's over. Yeah. Type of deal. Go to Missoula, we're leading for 59 minutes. Play North Dakota State, we're leading for 57 minutes. So those are good teams, So it's not like you can be like, oh, yeah, you were there, but you didn't win. Well, we weren't playing some bottom of the barrel teams here, either. And we're still, we understand that, hey, we have areas that we need to get better, where I need to get better in. Yet, here too, moving forward. So I think it's really about, like I said, the process of how we go about our day, how we work, in the summer here, how much when we start investing in football and training camp that we get better, that we get our guys prepared, to be able to start the season fast once again. And then I think at the end of the day, like I said before, man, there's got to be a player-led element to this, and those guys got to be able to, take this thing and own it and move forward and have some confidence that they can go close out some football games.
All right. The last one should be fun. The show is called Happy Hour. Sometimes it's the first question I ask a first-time guest. This is supposed to feel like we're at the bar talking during happy hour. What drink would you prefer to have in that situation, or especially after a long day, a tough game, whatever it is? Maybe last night with all the other coaches at Parker's.
Well, I'm just, I'm going to say do simple better. There's nothing wrong with just cracking a nice cold beer at the end of the day, right?
Were you one of the ones drinking the light beer at the Parker last night?
I didn't get out there. Obviously, I was a late arrival here, for the weekend.
Oh, you were?
So
okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to get out there with those guys. But our league, just the quality of the guys leading the programs, man, it's pretty cool. Just obviously appreciate the competition and everything that goes into it, but a lot of really, really good people that are leading programs throughout our conference.
It genuinely seems like it. What kind of beer?
Oh, boy.
Do you have a favorite? You gotta have a go-to.
Coors Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
You
It's on tap at the Orion Pub in downtown Sioux Falls, and that's usually the domestic light I prefer, partly because it's the only one on tap.
Yeah, I'm not a beer snob.
They're all kind of the same.
Yeah, it's...
you drink enough beer in your life, it's kind of, you kind of circle
Dakota
back
guy,
to the ones you
Busch
started
Light's
with.
fine
of course,
too, right?
yes.
Like, hey,
it's a requirement.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't not like it, or you can't say you don't like it.
Yeah.
That'll get you. That'll hurt your recruiting. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you. It was nice to meet you, and good luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Eric Schmidt, head coach, UND, here on Media Day on Happy Hour.
It's still Happy Hour with John Gaskins, so go ahead, have another.
Well, let's hear from the Dean of Missouri Valley Football Conference coaches. I can already sense him over here laughing about that.
The old guy.
He insists we call him that, the Dean of Missouri Valley Football Conference coaches. Brock Spack In his 18th year at Illinois State, took the Redbirds all the way to the national championship game last year for the second time in his career, and it's great to have him at MVFC Media Day here at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. And look, you're going to be asked a lot about going all the way to the national championship game, perhaps about NIL, not the Bison not being in the league. I'm sure you just were by our friends and neighbors. I just want to hear some Joe Tiller stories. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, what are you looking for?
I mean, Joe Tiller, to me, is one of the most, first of all, successful, considering where he did all his great work, Wyoming and Purdue, best coach in Purdue history, and one of the more interesting, to me, colorful coaches. I mean, he just made watching football fun, and you were along for the ride for a lot of it, right?
Yeah, I knew Coach since, I played for him my senior year in '83.
That's right.
And then I went and played pro football briefly, got cut, came back, and they kept the GA job open for me because they probably knew I was going to get cut. Yeah. And thought, we'll keep one open and just in case. And I got I was a graduate assistantship under him, and then went to Wabash College, and then went to for a season in Eastern Illinois when they were in the league back when Coach Spoo, and then Coach hired me at Wyoming after a 4-year stint at Purdue as a linebacker coach. So he was an unbelievable person in that he has a great sense of humor, and he's a man's man, and he is so witty, and guys would leave a staff meeting. He goes, "Was he serious?" And I go, "Yeah." I would kind of interpret it for him. Yeah, he's pretty serious about that. You might want to change what you're doing, or he said no, he didn't care. So he handled everything with humor and sarcasm. Yeah. And I remember one time thinking about a Tiller story is I said, Coach, sarcasm is kind of a poor way of motivating sometimes. He looked at me and goes, "Worked for you, doesn't it?" Hard to argue it.
On cue. Yeah. I mean, 10 bowl seasons in 12 years at Purdue, which is just as everyone knows, is a really tough place to win big. Yeah. And he did it with the famous basketball on grass, and Drew Brees as his quarterback in the 2000 Rose Bowl. So you were part of that staff. So what kind of a wave was that like to ride? And if you don't mind, especially the biggest and best crusade there, do you remember things that he said that cut everybody up, loosened everybody up when Purdue got to its zenith?
Well, I remember him when I first went to Wyoming. I was a young defensive coordinator trying to do a good job, and he just wanted my personality. He said, "Don't reinvent the wheel. Just your personality is all we want." Okay. Yeah. So, but he would come up to me and kind of whisper in my ear, "This basketball and grass kind of sissy stuff, isn't it?" Because he loved the way Wisconsin and Iowa played.
He was a defensive guy, right?
He's an offensive guy, actually.
I thought
he's an offensive line coach, but he did coordinate the defense at Purdue for 1 year. You're right.
Okay.
But it was a couple years actually. But he's really an offensive line coach, and he loves running the football. But I think that's the biggest misnomer for us there is how physical we were. Yeah. And he goes, "This is Big Ten football now. We have to be ready." And we were live a lot in preseason and in spring. So he ran a real tough program physically, even though it was what he called basketball and grass.
Yeah, and look, you were his defensive coordinator there for those 12 seasons, and so of course I need a Drew Brees story with your defense going up against that guy in practice every day. How good could you tell he was then?
I can tell you, we were getting ready for the. We're in spring practice, so you're going into the 2000 season. We won the Big Ten championship that year. We ended up winning it, and then we went to the Rose Bowl, back when the Rose Bowl was the champion, right? And so Breeze would, we were really, I was really kind of experimenting with a lot of fire zone stuff and 3 deep, 3 under, and a lot of pressure. And trying to be able to learn. What I learned from Drew Brees, I would after a scrimmage, a full-fledged scrimmage, and they were long now. With Coach Tiller, we were out there a long time, 150, 170 plays. It was long. Wow. And I would sit down with Drew and we debrief. I said, well, how'd you know this blitz was coming? Well, I could tell by the eyes of a safety. His eyes were looking right at where he's pressure. The body language of your linebacker told me. And I said, interesting. And I said, how did you get fooled? I said, well, you were in the exact same stance and the exact same. So I learned so much about how disguising coverages and pressure by having to play him every day in practice. But then to debrief a guy like that and run 80 plays at him in a scrimmage, it really helped us. And we had a young defense. We had 5 freshmen that played. Some were redshirted guys, but we had 5 freshmen, 7 freshmen that played on that defense and went to the Rose Bowl. And without his help, basically, play against him, it really made us better.
So, how playing at Purdue early '80s, and I looked it up. Not prolific years, although I think your freshman year.
Freshman year went pretty good year.
But and seeing a turnaround, obviously with Joe Tiller there, late '90s into the 2000s. But it's how much of playing there, coaching there at a place where it feels like it's an uphill battle a lot.
Right.
How has that shaped you as a head coach or even as a human?
He was, I have a lot of Tillerisms, good and bad. People, hey, you're just like Joe. I said, well, I've around him for 20, 30 years now. But he was, I think how he separated himself is he would, he had a way of doing things, and that's the way we're going to do it. And he was about physicality as much as you didn't think that with the style of offense we had. We rushed for 300 yards on Michigan the year we went to Rose Bowl. Everybody talks about Breeze. Yeah, he had a great game too, but we rushed the ball for 300 yards when Michigan was, and they're still really good, but they were really good, and they just come off a national championship game. So he had a way about him, and he was, he didn't. He always talked about timing everything in life is important, and I think when our timing, we hit Purdue. He was the perfect coach at the perfect school, and it was a perfect relationship for Purdue to be successful because that's what they needed at that time. Yeah, and it was really amazing. He's always been right about that. Right. Timing's everything in life.
He retired in 2008. You were the defensive coordinator. You, correct me if I'm wrong, wanted to be the head coach, applied to be the head coach.
Yeah, and I didn't. I think I took second, but it was okay.
Yeah. And you wanted to stay even for the new guy, Danny.
Danny Hope and I were friends. Hope. I mean, we know each other for a long time, but I got an opportunity, and I just felt that this was something. Even my wife said, Brock, I think you got to take this job. It's right up your alley. You're from Illinois, and it's in the Midwest, and I had my eye on Illinois State for a long time because when I was in the league before with Eastern Illinois, we played Illinois State, and I always kind of scratched my head why these guys weren't a little bit better. But they had some good years, but they weren't real consistent. So I just think I know the language, so to speak, in the state of Illinois and Chicago and then maybe in the Midwest, and so we've kind of recruited Illinois State kind of guys, and that's really helped us.
So what do both of those things mean? Knowing the landscape and the language in Illinois, what does you know the actual answer to this question? What does it take to be successful in the Mo Valley, in the state of Illinois? Give me an impression of kind of whatever is an advantage or a challenge about that, being the head coach at Illinois State.
Well, I can tell you that a lot of coaches, and particularly young guys, will make mistakes. They try to change the culture of the university, and the university is not changing their culture. So you have to recruit players that match the culture of the university. Whether it's Purdue is engineering, so you had to find these guys who are really technical and but also really good players. Illinois State, it's education and business. So you try to get guys who it's really simple. We've had really good success in the academic world in football there because we get it at the front end. We go recruit really good students that really want to be at Illinois State. It's really important for them to be there, and they fit the culture. And I think that's been the best. And Coach Tiller's talked about that all the time. The fit. Yeah. Everything's about a fit, and you can't. I've obviously made some mistakes. Put some kids or even staff that didn't fit us and didn't fit Illinois State, and everybody had to move on. But I think we've won more of those battles than not, and we kind of know the lay of the land and what kind of kid is successful there. From an academic standpoint, very, very, very much like the Big Ten. Really good student, You want a high-end student, a good, motivated guy, hard worker, work ethic, and then is hungry to be a good player.
Yeah, and you eventually go to the national title game in 2014. You're becoming a playoff team, a consistent winning team. Go to the playoffs in 2019. COVID hits, and that changed all of our lives to a degree. So explain that, because for you guys, there are a couple of down years, but you've picked it right back up with playoffs last 2 years, national title game this past year.
I had to make some decisions. I talked to Patty Viverito several times during all this. Brock, I hear it from so many coaches. COVID really affected different people different ways, and for some reason for us it was just awful. And I think it was because our 19 team was a pretty good team. We made it to the quarterfinals, had a really knockout, drag-out game up in the Fargo Dome, and it was a great football game. And we had everybody coming back. We had a great defense, we had a good quarterback, and he didn't get to play in the playoffs the year before. So everybody, I thought the 2020 team was really good. Well, they're all seniors, and they didn't get a chance to play. So what we do, we go transfer and go play if you can, and I'll help you. And so we lost a lot of those guys, and so some of those guys got their year back, that didn't move at other schools, and so there's some schools benefited from it. We did not. We lost all our guys because we tried to help them find a place to play their senior year. So what I decided then, I said we built up a lot of collateral. We've had some good years. We're going to do this really. We know how to do this. We've rebuilt the program several times. Now we're going to do this right and get the right kids in here, and then we'll go back to the national championship game. I think our way is the right way at Illinois State. Yeah. So we get it.
You kind of described what that way means, but for you personally, I understand you signed a contract through the end of next season, 2027. But as you guys were going on this wild ride throughout the playoffs and reaching the championship game in Nashville, some were wondering, well, win or lose, maybe this would be the perfect time for Brock to ride off into the
move
sunset.
On.
I'm sure you heard
get a young stallion.
Were people asking you about that?
Oh, they still ask me.
Did you consider it at all?
No.
And I feel sheepish bringing that up.
No, it's okay, but it's a good question. It's a fair question. I will tell you, it's every year now. It's year to year, and and I don't. I've had opportunities to do some things along the way. I hate to move. My wife and I love the area. Our children don't. My son lives in the area. He went to Illinois State. My daughter and her husband live up in Victoria, Minnesota. But he's a. So our family, but they love to come to Bloomington Normal. We live in a nice home. We have a nice community. Everybody's, a lot of move-ins because of State Farm and Country companies. There's a lot of, moving around, and but I didn't like moving, and I just we were very happy with our life, and my wife finally found something that, when you're a coach's wife, you kind of follow the husband, and not kind of, you do, and now she found something that she really enjoys, and she works for Special Olympics Illinois, which is their home office is right there in Illinois. She loves it. It's a great organization, great cause, and then she likes to sell homes a little bit on the side. So our lives are we don't want to
settled.
We're settled in, and we're just not interested in moving on.
Well, obviously, and you have a hunger to keep coaching football. So what made it a no-brainer to come back after that run? And you lose a great quarterback in Tommy Rittenhouse and a great receiver who's with the Houston Texans right
he's
now.
Pretty good. Stop quits.
Thank you. So what? What was your driving force this year? What is your driving force this year?
You got two guys here. They're a very good representative of who our team is, both B+ students and hard workers, tough guys. Yeah. They're in the weight room. They're training. They train. Kind of guys you want to have around. I really like our team from the not just the physical makeup but the mental makeup. They're my kind of guys, and so I'm excited for it. And we have to develop another quarterback, And we got 4 guys right now and 5 guys, but we got probably 3 guys that are very capable of being good players.
I'll leave you on this. Have you since that you get all the way to the very end, you're this close to winning the national championship? The last several months, have you thought more about just and felt the pride of getting all that way, or whatever you felt after what happened?
I told the team after the game in the locker room, I said, "You're going to look back on this," and they were really disappointed, obviously. Yeah. And I said, "Listen, fellas, what you did is amazing. You know, first of all, you won 4 road games, and no one's ever done that to get to a national championship. And you're going to look back, and there'll probably be 15 to 20 plays out there today that if we make one of them, we win the national title." And I didn't watch the game until about 2 or 3 weeks ago on tape. So I finally pulled it out. It was a slow day in the summer, so I said, I got to watch this thing. So I watched all of the game. I said, there were 30 plays, at least, that if we just make one of them, is this subtle thing that you wouldn't notice as a fan maybe? And it was, if we make one of those 30 plays, you win the game, because it was that kind of game. Yeah. I mean, it came down to making one more play, and we just couldn't find a way to it, I guess. But
did you go ahead?
No, I'm fine.
Did you want to just push stop before the final plays? Or did you
well,
I
knew some of them. I knew what was coming on some of them. Yes, I kind of wanted to go through them, but I didn't. I sat and watched them, and I talk about that with our players. Finding your split seconds, your inches to winning, championships. It comes down to that in football, like any sport, but particularly football. It comes down to split second or inches in order to win a national title, and there are 30 of them at least, and. To our opponent's credit, they made one more player than we did, and we didn't, so they won the game. That's what happens.
It was great to meet you and get a chance to speak with you.
Well, no, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the stories. Okay. Brock Spack, Illinois State head football coach here at MVFC Media Day on Happy Hour.
It's still Happy Hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
If you're looking for some good stories in a life of football, Kurt Mallory might be able to step up to the plate here. The head coach at Indiana State since 2017. Of course, the giant win over the Jackrabbits last year in Brookings. A fun story about trying to get out of here after that win. Yeah. But your dad played for Woody Hayes, or coached with Woody Hayes.
Yep.
And you played for Bo Schembechler. Yeah. Goodness. And, of course, his father was, but before the last couple of years, at the top of the list of all-time Indiana football coaches. So it's great to have you here. But when I rattle off names like that, I mean, what kinds of things do you think about? Just you're literally born into this kind of life. Yeah, you've met a lot of people.
Well, it was an easy profession to get into.
Yeah,
and to see the difference that my father made in a lot of young men's lives.
Yeah,
and both my brothers got into coaching. I followed them, and certainly this is a great profession.
Yeah,
and been very blessed to be part of it and meet a lot of great people.
So did he have any stories about coaching for Woody Hayes? That's a rhetorical question. What's your favorite?
Well, he had quite a few of them. I think one of the things, he was responsible for the projector, and he would tell that story. And there was a few projectors that apparently Coach Hayes had broken along the way, and my dad was responsible to go get a new one.
Yeah,
and they told him this would be the last one, and so he came up with a way to bolt it into the ground so he couldn't pick it up and throw it on the ground. But when he would tell that, I think I enjoyed hearing him laugh. He'd get into tears when he would tell the story. A lot of great stories, a lot of great memories.
Yeah, and he was kind of, first of all, you're probably a young guy, 10, 12, 14 years old when he's the head coach at Colorado, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you remember about those days? Because at the time, sometimes it goes in and out at Colorado. Sometimes it's a tough job.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a great job. What was that like for him? What did you notice from him in those years as a young guy?
They had some great years. They went to the Orange Bowl, won what was the Big 8 championship back then. Just the games and the playing against Washington, play against Barry Switzer at Oklahoma and Tom Osborne at Nebraska. I mean, it was just really some special times. My sister was actually a student at Colorado and never left. and made that her home. And she, of course, we then moved to DeKalb, Illinois, when my dad got the Northern Illinois job. But she stayed out there, and we go out there quite a bit and got a lot of great memories.
Yeah. All right. Playing for Bo Schembechler. I mean, first of all, just getting recruited.
Yeah.
By Bo Schembechler. I'd love to hear when you first meet him. I'm guessing maybe he comes to your house.
Yeah.
But your impressions.
Well, there's a history. There's a Miami of Ohio connection that goes way back. My uncle played for him. My Uncle Dave played for him at Miami of Ohio. He was his first captain. And then when Coach Schembechler went to Michigan, that's when my dad replaced him as head coach at Miami of Ohio. And so we've always had a strong bond with the families. And then, of course, I had two brothers that played for Bo. And so I was the third. And it was easy for me to follow in the footsteps. My dad told me, through the recruiting process, and I always knew what he meant, not that I was a real highly recruited player, but he said you can go anywhere you want in the country, but you're going to decide between two schools.
Yeah.
One was Indiana, where he was at, and the
right.
other was Michigan.
Yeah.
And I knew what he meant because he knew that I'd be taken care of at both places.
How tough of a decision, honestly, was that for you?
It was very hard
Okay.
because at the time when I made a decision, Indiana was rolling.
Yeah.
They had beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. Had beaten Michigan. Michigan State had won the Big Ten championship, and I just always thought I was going to play for my dad. I really never thought anything other, and kind of towards the end, it kind of went a different direction. But no regrets. Just what a great experience I had going there, but. It was a very difficult decision.
What pulled you away? What pulled you in that direction?
Well, I think at the end, my brothers had played there, and that was kind of the draw,
Yeah.
And I think when I moved to Bloomington, Indiana, I spent a lot of time at their practices. I spent a lot of time in the weight room. I worked out with the team.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of went through 5 years with them, And I think when the time came, I was ready to kind of get away. And,
Sure.
But then I was very fortunate to come back twice, once as a graduate assistant and one as a full-time assistant at Indiana. And my parents still live in Bloomington.
Sure, and I want to get to that time just coaching with your dad. But first, I understand, I think your sophomore year was Bo's last, and then it was Gary Moeller.
Yes.
But I I gotta hear a playing for Bo story, an inspiring speech or a dressing down at practice or something funny.
Well, when I did, you were talking about the recruiting process, and it was kind of Coach Schembechler had some health problems my senior year in high school and didn't coach in the bowl game, and Coach Moeller did, and that was my brother Doug's senior year, and so the recruiting process was probably a little bit delayed. And so I went on my official visit. He brought me in and sat me down. He said, Kurt, I coached your uncle. I coached both your brothers. They're both captains for me. I haven't watched the film, but the staff says you're one heck of a player, but I'm going to offer you a scholarship. And, of course, I decided to go there. Yeah. And so during camp, during two-a-days, I was running around, and I hear this, "Hey, Mallory." And so I of course, go running up to him, and he pulls me to the side and says, "I should have watched the film." And I laughed because I knew what he was talking about, but it was his way of telling you that he cared, and he was obviously a big influence on our whole family.
Wow. I've been given the wrap-up sign, so I will ask you about coaching with your dad at Indiana and what that meant to you, because there were some big wins and some good seasons those 2 years you were there as well.
I'm very fortunate to get off to a great start in my profession. Working for my father, and then later working for one of his assistants at Ball State, Bill Lynch. And, that's the big key to it, when you get into this profession, that you get around great people. And I was very fortunate, very blessed to get off to a great start in my profession, and I owe it all to my dad and my first opportunity with Bill Lynch.
Well, we don't have time to talk about the story about you trouncing through Brookings, beating the Jackrabbits, and then spending some time at Gibbs with Jackson Rentschler and the Rentschler family here.
Yeah, love those people.
Big Indiana State supporters, the biggest Indiana State fans in Sioux Falls. But, hey, thanks for joining us today. Good luck this season.
Great. Thank you very much.
Kurt Mallory, head coach at Indiana State.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins, so go ahead. Have another.
can't have a Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day without the returning Walter Camp Player of the Year, or Walter Payton Player of the Year, and if indeed that guy is back in the Missouri Valley Football Conference for the same team he was quarterbacking for last year. Bo Brungard from Youngstown State. I had it written down last night, miles and miles and miles of yardage through the air, on the ground, and, you're the Heisman Trophy winner of the FCS. To be honest, I can't believe you're here. I can't believe you're at Youngstown State until I found out that you're from the Youngstown area.
I am.
How much, I mean, can you believe you're here? A lot of people can't believe you're here. A lot of people would think you'd be somewhere in the Big Ten probably right now.
Yeah, to a lot of people it definitely seems crazy. Even to most of my friends back home, they're wondering, why didn't you leave? But a lot of things went into it, and first and foremost is my faith. And a lot of prayer went into that, and I just felt the Lord was leading me to stay home, stay in Youngstown. A lot of the values that went along with staying, loyalty, a lot of the promises I had made, and we haven't reached the goals that we set yet, so I just wanted to stay loyal and achieve what we set out to achieve when I was a freshman. So.
Yeah. What's it like growing up in Youngstown, which from the outside appears to be like an Ohio version of a Friday Night Lights, Texas kind of town, just with both high school and college football? It seems like a very football-oriented community.
Definitely. There's a couple of things you need to know about Youngstown. A lot of good Italian food.
Yes.
And football's a big deal there. My dad played at YSU in the 90s, and it's just a football town, and people love football there. So high school football games, YSU games, it's just a big deal. And so I like being in places where, football is valued and there's that excitement around the game. And so growing up, it meant a lot, and it still does. Yeah. So, that's why I love Youngstown, and it really is home for me.
Dad was a quarterback at Youngstown State during some good teams. A guy named Jim Tressel was the head coach there before he was at Ohio State. A couple national championships. So what was it like being the son of a I'm guessing, a well-known football hero in a big football town like that?
Yeah, believe it or not, my dad really doesn't like to talk about it a whole lot. Yeah. I think he does a great job of not letting his success become a pressure on me. Yeah. Or, I always asked him as a kid to please tell me more stories. I want to learn more about this. But you kind of hear it from a distance from other people. The tradition and the winning, heritage that YSU has had in the past. And that's something, when choosing my school out of high school, that was a big part of me choosing YSU, is wanting to be a part of that and wanting to carry on that, that history and that my dad had. But, it certainly is special to me.
He was a quarterback. Is it something you right away clung to, you wanted to do? Did he encourage it with you? What made you decide to just go after, play the same position he was a really good player at?
Yeah, so he obviously was really good at it, and so when I would pick up the football in the front yard as a kid, I just wanted to be like him. Yeah. And so, my brothers would always try to catch me, and I'd run around, and then, I just chucked the football, and I started to realize that I can throw the ball pretty well. And so there really wasn't any other position that I clung to. I was always just a quarterback. That's just always how it's been.
How many brothers do you have?
2 older brothers and a younger sister. No, my oldest brother was a quarterback, and then my second oldest brother, he was my center in high school. Yeah. So protected me.
At what point can you take me back to a moment, a practice, a game, youth football, maybe high school? I'm guessing sooner than that, where you could figure it out, since that's what you always wanted to do. Like, I can sling it. I might have a future here. Was there an aha moment?
Yeah. So when I was young, I played flag football, and I attribute a lot of that to my success today. Just the fundamental building blocks of what that taught me. But this was competitive flag football. We traveled around the country, and I had so much fun doing that. But playing against teams from Florida, California, Texas, when I'm 8 or 9 years old, that really showed me that I'm competing against the best of the best when I'm just that age. And so I think that gave me a lot of confidence growing up.
Like, can you drop some names? Were there so many famous players that you remember playing against?
I'm pretty sure there was, but at that age, I'm just
you don't know who these guys
I don't know. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, but that That had to be something. And so when you were in high school, your career record was like 38-4 in high school. So you're on a good team. You're obviously playing really well. Who's all talking to you? Who besides Youngstown State was going after you to play college football?
Well, to be honest, there were a couple schools talking to me and had interest in me, but my only real offer was YSU, which really surprised me. I got my YSU offer as a sophomore in high school, and then I'm like, all right, now it's going to blow up. I'm going to get all these offers, and nobody offered me.
Do you have a theory? Were you told?
I'm not sure. I mean, I was always told I'm just a little too small, arm wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
You should probably go play safety or running back or something like that. But Coach Phillips and the coaches at YSU had confidence in me.
Yeah.
And it really made my decision easy. My only offer, the only place I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
So it was very clear the Lord was leading me to go to YSU.
Well, so you mentioned this, because you're 6 feet tall, which a lot of people like me would love to be that tall. But I mean, how have you? Clearly, the performances, the highlights, the stats show how well you can play that position. But how have you done it? How do you overcome those shortcomings that people told you about, or that disallowed you to play at a higher level? How do you harness that? What has made you so successful to this point? Besides your teammates, play the guys that block for you, catch for you, all that.
Right. I think height at the quarterback position, obviously it's important, but I think it's a overhyped thing for quarterbacks. You look at guys like Drew Brees, Kyler Murray, all these guys, even Baker Mayfield. These guys are, around my height, and the success they're able to have. So, looking at guys like that, really gives me a lot of confidence that I can do it. And then just my ability to run and escape the pocket, to use my legs. I think that's probably one of my strengths that, catapults me to be able to have the success I have is, when things break down, just making a play and escaping when you have to.
I was going to say that who are your guys, but it sounds like those are your guys, like your favorite quarterbacks?
Growing up, Drew Brees has always been one of my favorites for his his size and stature and what he's accomplished. As a kid, I've always liked him.
Last year, you guys were playing in so many shootout games. I mean, high-scoring shootout games, so you had to just be on top of it all the time. You didn't win all of them. But what's it like to go through that? That has to be an incredible adrenaline rush, just knowing that we got to keep outscoring the other team. It's going to come down to you a lot of the time late in the game.
It is, and it's an emotional roller coaster up and down, but it really is exciting, and it teaches you a lot being in those close games. I would much rather that than just having blowouts, so I enjoy them.
Good luck this season, and hopefully we'll talk to you down the road. Appreciate
Thank you
your
very
time.
much. Thanks for having me.
Bo Brungard, Youngstown State, here on Happy Hour.
It's still Happy Hour with John Gaskins, but it's almost over. Last call.
Hey, you're still here. I'm still here, and that's good news because we have a bonus round I think you will enjoy. A couple more one-on-one interviews with big names in the MVFC. The interviewer was Zach Borg of Midwest Sports Plus. He chatted with the commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, the whole thing, and the Missouri Valley Football Conference. His name is Jeff Jackson. Of course, as you know, the league lost a team and did not gain a team within the last few months. North Dakota State out, there's 9 teams. So how do we resolve that, if at all? But first, a discussion with North Dakota quarterback Jerry Kaminsky, who kind of emerged out of nowhere, became a household name in Grand Forks last year, and he's back with Zach Borg.
I'm guessing maybe a little bit of unfinished business for you guys, just because you guys got off such a good start, but maybe didn't necessarily end the way you wanted.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to build on from last year and a lot to learn, and I think the guys have really bought in this offseason. Coach Schmidt talks a lot about there's a year-round calendar, and the guys have really bought into that and putting in a lot of extra work and just doing the little things the right way and really attacking the offseason that way.
Especially with Coach Schmidt being in his second year now, how much different, how much more into the system are you guys? I mean, first year under head coach can be a lot of things. Being in year 2 now, how much different is it?
There's a ton of confidence going into this year with Coach Schmidt and, just the whole staff in general. There was a lot of new last year, and just coming back into this year, there's a ton of confidence in the building. I know especially on the offensive side, we're excited about things. We got a lot of the O-line back. We got a lot of the skills back. Our tight end room is going to be really good. We're feeling good.
do you think is going to be the biggest difference for this team? I mean, obviously there's some more confidence. Aside from that, you got a playoff win under your belt. Maybe some of the biggest differences we'll see on the field.
I think some of the big differences is just on offense, we're looking to be explosive. We want to push the ball down the field, and we also want to be able to run the ball. It's the Missouri Valley. You have to play hard-nosed football. You got to get dirty, and we got one of the best O-lines in the country, and we're going to get downhill and run the ball, but we're also going to take shots when needed.
How much different is this for you coming into the season? I mean, last year nobody knew who you were. I mean, you were first-year starting quarterback. I mean, now you're kind of a known product, so there's more of a target on your back, I suppose. But for you coming into this season, what's it like?
Right, there's a lot of confidence coming into this season, just with a year under my belt, and I feel like I've learned so much from last year and attacked this off-season really hard. So I'm excited to keep it going and roll into fall camp and then into the season. There's just a lot of confidence around us right now.
I know you were at the Manning passing camp just recently, too. You had a pretty good showing out there. What did that do for you?
It was awesome. I mean, I just talked about it a little bit, but I think it just boosted my confidence a little bit. And I learned so much being around some of the best NFL quarterbacks of all time and then the best college guys. You just learn, you talk a lot of ball. It was an awesome experience.
Well, if there's one thing about this conference that's really standing out, at least going into the season, it's the returning quarterbacks you got here with run guard, Mason, yourself. How much is that? I don't want to say it's pressure, but it's probably something that makes you want to elevate your game a little bit.
For sure. It makes you want to elevate your game. And, every week there's going to be eyes on you and you're watching the other guys on film. It's awesome. And that's what you want in a conference, is a deep quarterback room. And I think, like you just said, that's what we have. And it's really exciting to be able to compete against those guys, be able to watch them on film, take things from their game, but then also use what they do to learn from.
They picked South Dakota State to win this conference. You're getting them at home for a third straight year. Although they've beaten you guys down there for 2 straight years. We know how that ended a year ago. How much are you looking forward to getting them one more time down there in your barn, especially after the way that ended a year ago?
I can't wait. That's definitely a game that will be circled on the calendar. All of them are important, but that one's going to be really exciting, and I can't wait for that. The environment for that game is always unbelievable. That'll be one I'm looking forward to.
USD, too. I mean, that was kind of where things started to maybe go a little bit sour for you guys. You were rolling into the Dakota Dome last year, and they've got a lot of new faces too. I mean, they're having a new quarterback. What kind of game is that when you play the Coyotes? Because that's always been a historic rivalry too.
It's always a tough game anytime you play any of the Dakota schools. So those are games you're always looking forward to, and some of the most important games of the season. So that's going to be an awesome game again. And going to their place again, it'll be an exciting feeling knowing exactly what happened last year to go back there and get it done this year.
UND QB Jerry Kaminsky. Zach Borg also caught up with the commissioner of the MVFC, Jeff Jackson.
So the second year they've held the media day here. What's kind of the vibe right now? I mean, they've held so many teleconferences that it's still kind of nice. I mean, I think the turnout this year is actually bigger than last year.
Yeah, I think it's great. One of the things we really like about it is a chance for our coaches to get together. We had dinner last night at a great restaurant in downtown Sioux Falls. Everybody had a chance to just visit, talk, get to know each other a little bit better. Our student athletes are over at a golf event. So it's one of those things where certainly what takes place this morning is important, the opportunity to interact with the media, but it's also equally as important, the opportunity to interact with each other.
I think you're one of the first FCS conferences, if not the first, to actually hold its media day, so you're kind of getting out in front of everything.
Yeah, timing is important, and certainly we don't want to take away from practice days. And, one of the things about our conference is, we do have a pretty large footprint. So, coaches, student athletes getting here sometimes can take a little bit of longer than normal. So we try and put it in a period where we're not impacting what they need to do practice-wise to have a great season.
Last year was one of the rare years this conference didn't win the national title, but it was back in the national title game, and I think it once again led the country in playoff bids. How do you look back on and reflect on last season?
I think it was a great season. I think anytime you've got 6 teams in the playoffs and you got all the things that took place, and I thought we won. I thought the kick went in. So I thought we had a great year, and I think the important thing about the year is that we had different participants. We've got a wide swath of outstanding programs, and I think last year proved that.
Well, obviously, there's no getting around who's not here this year with North Dakota State leaving, and I think people kind of anticipated that move was going to happen for a while because a lot of that fan base had kind of been wanting that move, and them leaving, how does it feel? I mean, obviously, like I said, the turnout this year is pretty good despite them not being here and their contingent not being here. But how does this league move on with what has been such a integral member of it being gone?
Well, look, no question that North Dakota State was a great partner, but again, as we were just talking about earlier, considering who was playing in the championship game, whether it's an Illinois State, whether it's a South Dakota State, whether it's a North Dakota, whether it's a Southern Illinois, UNI, we've got plenty of good teams, so I think we'll take the opportunity to fill that vacuum, and I don't have any question that the MVFC will still be the preeminent FCS conference moving forward.
One of the things that got tossed around quite a bit, along with them leaving, was there was a lot of talk about expansion. A lot of teams that were maybe targets, teams that were maybe looked at as possible members to bring into this league, whether they were in Texas or in the West. And obviously there was no further expansion. A lot of them went to maybe rival leagues, whether it was the UAC or the Big Sky. What's right now the position of this conference toward expansion, toward moving any additional teams here down the road?
Well, one of the things I like is when you have 9 teams, that means you've got 8 games, so you got a pure round robin. I'm not sure we can be in a better position in terms of just creating the right mix in terms of competition, opportunity for everybody to play each other, and we're not seeing a negative impact in terms of how teams are selected for the tournament. So certainly I think our board, and when I refer to our board, that's our presidents and chancellors, if an opportunity came around that they were excited about, I'm sure they would take advantage of it. But right now, I think the MVFC is in a very good spot.
Has anybody been up front or have there been schools trying to make a push to get into this league right now over the last year or so?
If they did, and I told you, I'd have to kill you. So I can't.
What are some things the league moving forward might be doing, whether it's social media or any other?
I think the most important thing is really being proactive on the national front. I think myself and Josh Fenton, we're involved with every meeting. We're involved with every situation to make sure that the MVFC is being positioned, being presented in the right way. We know that our voice carries weight because of the success that our institutions have been able to have and continue to foster. So I think the most important thing to us is just making sure that on the national scale, people understand who we are, what we're doing, what we're accomplishing, and that we're an important entity and an entity to be treated seriously and taken seriously. So I think that's where we really spend a lot of our time.
And the last question or two here, obviously you mentioned last year things kind of got spread out a little more. We saw some different, certainly Illinois State getting the national title game proved it. What do you want to see from some of the programs that are maybe toward the bottom end of the conference? Where do you want to see them maybe kind of rise up? What are you hoping to see in place that maybe elevates that bottom part of the league? Hopefully they can start making some steps up.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that no matter what, you're going to have a bottom part of the league because we all play each other. So to me, I think everybody's doing what they can. There are always going to be some variances in terms of resources and how people choose to use those resources. But I think we have the best league in the country. And the unfortunate thing is someone's going to have to finish first, someone's going to have to finish ninth.
What are you most looking forward to this year?
The quarterback play. I think we have one of the best contingent of quarterbacks in the country. So I'm excited to see how that manifests itself, especially when it comes to the success that we should be able to have on the national landscape.
Anything else you'd like to add or say? Open mic.
No, just thanks for being here. We're really enjoying our time in Sioux Falls. This has been great. As you mentioned, the turnout's been fantastic. Great conference, and just looking forward to a great season.
Missouri Valley Football Conference Commissioner Jeff Jackson with our Zach Borg. And that is it for our first of 2 shows from MVFC Media Day here on Happy Hour. Tomorrow, completely different kinds of interviews. You're going to hear from all 9 teams. 9 sit-downs. That's right, Ed Rooney, Dean of Students in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You're going to hear from the coach and both players from each team talking about their squads 9 times. 9 times. Looking forward to that. Plus a couple more one-on-ones with Zach Borg. For video producer Cordell Wright, I'm John Gaskins. Hope you enjoyed your pigskin potpourri for today. We're drawing so much closer to kickoff 2026 in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.